G'day everyone and welcome back to the Hardball Gets AFL show made possible by Mazda and the Mazda BT50 You Do Ute. Today, gather round as we spend 2 minutes on every club on the back of a massive weekend in Adelaide. Let's get stuck in. It is the Hardball Gets AFL show. My name's Chris Robinson in for Nick Rinn, joined by Xavier Ellis and Ryan Daniels. Hi guys.
I sense the power play straight away.
Straight
away I sense the power play.
What are we talking about?
Same. The intro was smooth, way smoother than Nick. Nick goes off the cuff a fair bit.
Yep.
You've clearly got a few notes taken down.
Mine's notes taken down so it can be smooth.
Can you just read it just once more for me? There's something in there that I know that you've lifted from Nick.
Yeah.
Well, I did Let's Get Stuck In.
No.
Nick's
Sorry, lifted in terms of upper level.
Oh, right.
Yeah, give it.
I said it was made possible by
That's
Mazda.
it, made possible.
What does that say?
Nice. I like
Yeah,
that.
that's
Brought
smooth.
to you by? I just like to change it up a little bit.
No, I like the made possible.
Nick just jams in Mazda. Something
it doesn't know.
It is made possible.
And there was another lovely little touch in there.
I said gather round, but kind of like in the gather round sense, as in come and join us.
Big weekend of footy and something in there. It was a great intro. It was an outstanding intro.
Do you know what else he's done?
I know.
This is subtle.
What?
But every week Nick sends out the teams, right? He chooses who gets what team.
Pretty boring.
And he sends, okay, I get this 6, you get that 6, and he gets the 6 that he obviously wants for the week.
I changed up the groups.
You really did.
Yeah.
So not only did you send us, different 6s, because sometimes Nick will just send us the same 6 every week. You've changed the groupings.
How's the grouping?
I don't even know how you've done it because I was doing it, then I was like, hold on a minute. And you know how repetitive it is? I've gone, hold on a minute. How come I've got Carlton and Brisbane? Nick never does this.
Yeah.
And so now
I'm not in too early. I've got to wait a little bit to hold my powder.
Can you tell us how did it come
It was the
about?
algorithm.
Yeah.
I gave myself the 6 teams that I wanted to talk about and then just
Work
give you the rest up amongst you guys.
Okay, that's fair.
I love
pretty
that.
much it.
That's great.
That's fair.
We've noticed and we like it.
Now, I want to touch on something, Robert.
Yes.
So, if I ever, because I'm the hardest working person in Perth,
here we go.
if I'm ever trying to do something, either charity, I'm a charitable sort of guy, or I'm trying to feed the family.
I already know where this is going.
I'm trying to feed the family. A bit of both.
Yes.
On Thursday, the Quokka was a big race, obviously.
It was
in Perth, and there was
not
a
without
launch.
controversy, but it was.
When there was a launch lunch on, and I turned up just to enjoy the festivities of the moment.
Did you pay for that ticket?
No. Well, I was a guest of someone who bought a slot.
Okay.
So,
just checking.
Anyway, slots Listier, we call him. Jack. Anyway, so I'm sitting there and trying to just relax and going through the speakers. Old cocksmack. Got an MC gig at the races. Now this is talking about jumping into bed.
Wow.
An MC role. And, I'm wearing pink because you're wearing pink and we're both wearing pink. Oh, shut up.
I don't write the jokes. Look, I knew this was going to come up. You should have seen his face.
Can I just say something straight away?
What?
Outstanding job.
Really?
Both of you. Both of you did a good job. Yeah.
Look, it was a tough one. There was a lot of people in the room. Oh, look, I'll say this. When it came to me, I was reluctant. Only because of this moment, because I knew that he would throw it back in my face.
No.
The Greyhounds last week, we're getting into you about the Greyhounds.
All Racing and Wagering WA saying I'm more of the charitable arm, you're more of the
I reckon
taking cream off the top.
I reckon you got paid more to pat a dog than I did to host a lunch. I'll give you the hot tip.
Let's just
the
relax
hot
on all
tip.
that.
Whatever was left in the kitty, I got off to the side.
What about we had a funny moment actually at the Quokka lunch. So for those that don't know, it's a slot race. People buy the slots.
Yeah.
$200,000 to get a slot in this race.
Yep.
Selby, who's been on this podcast, a good friend of mine.
Herrera's Magic.
Yeah, his cousin Jack is a slot owner. Anyway, so Bjorn Baker, who eventually trained the horse of the winning horse, the Beat Amelia's Jewel, Selby, stay here. I'll go get Bjorn Baker to come over because you got to try and find a horse for the next year as well. Now you'll start thinking straight away.
Right.
Otherwise, you burn your $200,000. So you've got to get a good horse in there.
Yep.
So Selby goes over to Bjorn Baker to grab him to come over and have a serious conversation about potentially a horse next year. And Jack Listier's plucking my nose hairs.
What?
Poor old Bjorn Baker's like, who is this fucking mob?
Actually plucking your nose hairs.
Yeah.
Did he notice that some were coming out, or did you request the pluck?
No, he noticed and I requested. Yeah.
Did he have tweezers on him?
Nah.
What's he doing?
Fork and knife.
So I think it's fair to say Bjorn's probably going to look past
I would have
idiots
thought
like
so.
us.
How was he? Talk me through the plucking. Was it
Just with the finger.
hands?
Yeah.
Oh, that's disgusting.
And away we go.
And then the quokka eventually was won by a nose on the
By
line.
overpass.
By a
So
nose hair,
it was by
yeah.
a nose hair, yeah.
Paid
He kind of predicted the future a little bit there.
$16. Yeah.
That would have been nice. Thoughts on Gather Round,
Loved
everybody?
it. Loved it. Filthy. We don't get a chance to have it here. Not because Adelaide don't deserve it. I think they did a great job. I love that it's staying there. It gives us somewhere to go every year.
Yeah.
But I'm annoyed that we weren't more proactive, our government in WA, to go and chuck a giant pile of money, which we've got plenty of,
Yeah.
and say, hey, no, we want it. Because the grand final here was fantastic. Gather Round looked like something we want to be a part of.
Yeah.
And now it's going to be 3 more years at least before we get a look at it.
It went very quickly from, hey, this weekend's going really well, to we're having it here for the indefinite future.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it. We had an opportunity. Everyone had an opportunity, as you were saying this morning on radio,
Yep.
Rhino. And I can't have people saying we're unlucky. Like, as I was saying, unlucky is the wife running off with the next door neighbour, taking the kids and keeping the house. Yeah, you're unlucky.
Yeah.
We just opted to sit on our hands. That's not unlucky. Stiff shit. I've sworn twice. Bad luck, Michaela. Great. And
Couldn't
I'm
agree
going
more.
next week for a Bucks do. Next year for a Bucks do.
we're all
already.
Going. We're all going next year. I
And
see,
if Triple M want to give me a couple of games to pay for the Bucks
Yeah.
do, then great.
you and I made the mistake of going, we'll sit this one out.
Yeah.
And we had FOMO. I know I did last week. I was
But
like, I
even
should
the
have been.
games like Norwood Oval, I thought, and I was always a hater of going to Tassie to play, like at Launceston.
Bit below the
'Cause-
boy from Melbourne Grammar doesn't want to go.
No, but you were losing a game from the MCG. I cherished playing at the MCG,
Mm-hmm.
like loved it. And then you're going to play in Launceston, which is like whatever. It's suburban sort of ground.
Sure.
Norwood, fantastic. What was it? How many 15,000 in there would have it been?
Nah,
I
it was
think 12?
It was high tens, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, great. Games that probably wouldn't have drawn massive crowds as it was. Freo Gold Coast, Hawthorn Giants.
They got
filled
two
them
close
up
finishes, yeah.
Wall to wall. Great. The weather was a bit of a shame on a couple of things, but I think they got away with it pretty well.
One thing I will say that I didn't have an issue with this year because I thought it was going to be rotated. I suddenly have a little bit of an issue with it, and they need to correct it somehow. And it's the fact that
The extra home
Adelaide
game.
and Port Adelaide will get an extra home game.
It's bull dust. It's bull dust. There's 10 Melbourne teams.
Yeah.
They play Melbourne, so they don't leave the state.
I'm not whinging about the Melbourne.
No, but I'm
teams.
just saying. So Port Adelaide. So then why aren't we whinging about Melbourne teams not leaving Melbourne for the extra 7
We
games?
do all the time.
No, we don't.
We do. You're
Nah.
not a West
No, but
Australian.
this is something that's
is something-
manufactured on top of just that natural
No,
advantage.
I get it. But there's a
WA
natural
clubs-
advantage as it is.
But for WA clubs, as well as not hosting this thing every year, which is, as we guys talked about,
Really great.
it's an extra week of they already travel the most out
another
of
travel.
everyone. It's another locked-in
Yeah.
travel weekend.
It's an
every
extra
year.
leg up for the South Australian teams.
A small leg up, but there's
Yeah,
there's
but
a
it's-
massive leg ups for Victorian sides. It's
100%, but
look
I'm
at
not whinging about it. I'm saying for the WA teams and the New South Wales teams and the Queensland teams, it's another week of travel. Like, it just, there's the answer is obvious. And I know they won't do it because it's another marquee event. But if you just put the showdown
Never
on the Friday
happening.
night.
Never
I
happening.
mean, but in some ways, that would be bloody
It should
cool.
have. Actually, I'm not against it. Let's launch into gather round with the
yeah, I
opening
wouldn't be
game.
against
Showdown.
it either, but it's never happening. Like they're
it's another
going to
event.
give you 2 bites of the cherry. With
Yeah.
But they're getting
with the
full
local
crowds
clubs.
at
But you
you're
get
getting
two
full
showdowns, so there's one of them. And the other one you can have as a standalone.
I like the idea, but it's
Yeah.
never
But
happening.
they
Over the
can't-
next 3 seasons, it's never
They can't be
happening.
worried about crowd sizes because yesterday afternoon's game was full.
Well, sort of.
Well, but big
they're-
enough.
but they're
It's not
still-
like,
Tickets were sold.
Yeah.
yeah, it's not like you're getting 20,000 of these games.
No.
It's still 2 big tent poles as opposed to 1. If you have Adelaide and Port playing separately, it's not going to
I
change.
tell you what
So-
I tell you what got it humming was Adelaide's start.
Yeah.
Unreal.
That got
Yeah.
that. You know, if Adelaide got tropped, then maybe
We'll get to Adelaide and my man Jordan Dawson a little bit later. Didn't I just jump on at the right time?
All right. Well, should we start with? I thought we might do reverse ladder order. Go back to.
Oh, okay, sure.
The
Jeez,
occasional.
Really mixing it up.
So I'm
isn't
just
he?
keeping everybody on their toes.
Really
so
not sure
who's
what's
got
happening.
Hawthorn?
Oh, that's me.
yours. The
Okay,
floor
let me
is
find
yours.
them because they're out of order. Hold on. Okay, so look, yesterday I watched that game pretty closely. I think Hawthorn would take a fair bit away from that in saying that, you know, we're on the right track. A few of their young players started to show a little bit. I thought that was Ned Reeves' best game in the ruck. Like, he wasn't the best player out there, but I thought there were signs where you're like, oh, maybe this guy, he could be their ruckman for the next 7 or 8 years.
Big Reese. If you just take a mark, just
Yeah.
I don't want
Got
to
a
see.
little
I
ahead of
don't want to
himself.
look. I don't want to see you look to kick it.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can.
got a little ahead of himself.
Yeah. Just give
Fergus Green's been a nice little pickup for them. Another 3 goals. He shows that he should have been at this level pretty much the whole time. Interesting one, Connor Nash, after halftime, went to Tommy Green, your boy, and started tagging and tagged him pretty well. Like he had a
kept him 12, I reckon.
A much lower impact on the second half. So in losing sides, that's probably the topic I want to bring up. Did you like when someone's tagging in a losing side? Like, because they're going to lose a lot of games. Do you want to see...
Well, they probably should have won that game.
Yeah, probably.
And then they're 2 and 3.
Okay, so you're saying they're not going to be a losing side. You think they're better than we think they are?
No. But I think horses for courses. Tom Green was getting off the chain.
Yep.
It's a good education, though, right?
Who typically does
Shows
it? What's
you what's
name?
required.
Finn McGuinness.
Finn McGuinness was in
was
the
out
side,
of the
so
He'd been dropped.
I don't mind it. I mean, Nash is no world beater.
No.
Again, it's just the theory of getting player 20 to 23 to go on player number 1 and hopefully turn number 1 into player number 10 for the opposition, and you win that.
Yeah,
and he did that in the second half.
As I say, it almost works.
Yeah.
Like they almost pinched the game.
Yeah.
But I think in general, I think Hawthorn walk away from that game pretty happy.
What about Chad Wingard's injury?
Yes, a lacerated tongue.
Severed tongue.
Severed, that was it.
He's having a stretch, isn't he? He's having a tough stretch.
And in for surgery on it.
How do you sever a tongue? I've never heard of that.
Oh, no mouth guard, I
You
assume.
bite down?
Yeah, I assume no mouth guard. Because if there's a mouth guard there, it's not the pointy end of it. I don't know.
Crikey. Gruesome. West Coast is 17th.
That's me. Jeez, you've loaded me up.
Back
early.
to back.
I want to give some love here to Oscar Allen. Mm-hmm. 14 goals for the season, did not play at all last year. Mm-hmm. So to come in and immediately have an impact, that's just short of 3 goals a game.
Where does that sit him in the Coleman?
He's in the top 5 or 6. I think. It's a bloody good effort. And
considering the delivery and the lack thereof.
That's the thing, right? You're in an average team, or well below average team.
Well, we know Snake Waterman's had 2 games where he's kicked 4 or more.
Yeah, I was going to say Waterman's had 9 goals in 4 games, which is a couple of games. 2
4s and 4s.
Yeah, so if your 2 young forwards are giving you 5 goals a game, you're going pretty well. So I think that's a tip of the cap to those 2 young guys, particularly, as you say, Robbo, given the delivery's not exactly amazing. And then so good to see that. And hopefully Oscar can play a full season and we can start to see the best of him because on track for a 50-goal season.
Yeah, you take 50. I remember 2 years ago I said I'd do something incredibly stupid if Oscar Allen kicked 50 goals.
Yeah. Did you?
Shame
you didn't say that this year.
Oh, no, it would have been a career-ending thing I was going to do. So thankfully...
What was it? You remember?
I remember.
As in like physically career-ending, or you would have got fired career-ending?
Probably everything.
Okay.
Yeah,
the whole lot.
Probably the whole kit and caboodle.
would have just died.
So anyway, that didn't eventuate, and I'm still here. But, mate, they're waffle side.
Yeah, they lost by about 200 points.
Yeah, they had 5 listed players. 1 got injured in 6
Hewitt
seconds.
goes down in the first few seconds,
2 are rookies. 1 was an unheard of bloke.
Yeah, and the problem the Eagles have is they can't recruit players for their waffle side from their Rezzies or their Colts because they don't have them. So it's literally just.
But I don't even know if they're able to, are they?
Well, they don't have them.
Yeah, but no, I don't even think they can. I don't even think they steal players from the waffle. Like it's
as in like their own.
Yeah, no, I get that, but like I think there's limitations on how much like. When you go to young talents and go, hey, come over to us.
Like they do it. Yes, sorry. There is restriction on that too.
For example, the VFL side. So talking to Mickey Barlow, they're competing against clubs that go to players that are recently delisted and go, hey, come to our VFL side. We have a list spot open when it closes.
You play well, that's your spot.
That's your spot. So it's such an incentive, whereas I don't think they can do that.
No. Jeez, hope it's not me again. Jeez.
It's Gold Coast, which is...
Me. Gold Coast Suns. I want to tip my hat to a bloke who we don't really know. He's played 200 games now. We don't really know what he is. But David Swallow was good on the weekend.
Oh, yeah, he was
20 goals and 20 possessions and 3 goals. Very good. North of 1 and 4 again. 1 and 4.
Gold Coast of 1 and 4.
Sorry, Gold Coast.
Yep.
What do you do to the Gold Coast Suns? What do you do? I know they didn't have wits and they got beaten. I think they just lost inside 50s in the end.
Yeah.
But if you were blank canvas, where do you start with the Suns?
Blank canvas?
Where do you start?
So I can do anything?
Yeah, and don't say move them.
I was going to merge them with the Giants.
Yeah, not the worst idea ever.
Nah, just 2 clubs.
And then you bring in another team. There's your 18, and then there's no bye, and gather round lasts forever.
Yeah, you can play half the games in the Gold Coast, half in the west of Sydney.
Where do you reckon they'd rather play?
Gold Coast. I would have thought.
But like, what do you do? Like, and we got criticised. Like, Tuke Miller's a nice footballer, but he's not the superstar.
No.
Noah Anderson's going to be a nice footballer. I don't know if he's going to be a superstar.
Well, he's not
Matty
getting to
Rouse,
the Petrarca level.
not going to be at that level.
No.
King's come back a little bit shaky.
Do they have anyone on their list that you can see being the best player in the AFL at their peak?
I don't see anyone on their list that can be in the top 40.
Oh, I don't know about 40.
Oh, I think Ben King could.
I think
could
Ben
be.
King and Noah Anderson could be in the top 40.
Well, that's the top 2 of every team.
Yeah, that's an
Would
All-Australian player. It's an All-Australian squad member.
Yeah.
Like, I would have thought those two could be. But I know what you're saying. Like, it's not a guarantee with Ben King's injuries and Anderson, the role he plays.
He's a midfielder.
Yeah, yeah, it is a bit of a worry. I know they love the Bailey Humphrey kid, but we just haven't seen anything.
Yeah.
Like, I heard the commentators say on the weekend that they've said he's a Petrarca type.
Yeah. I had an interest on Gold Coast in that game and we almost won.
Should have won it.
And they can do that. Like,
That's because you're a Freo hater, though.
No, but they're good enough to fight, but they're not good enough to win. Like,
Yeah.
how many times you see that they're in a game and halftime lose? It's just a messy. I don't know what it is.
I feel like with them, I don't know what I'm getting.
Hawthorn know
week
what they
to
are.
week.
North
Yeah.
Melbourne know what they are.
Yeah,
West Coast are working out pretty quickly what they are.
Yeah.
I don't reckon Gold Coast, are they thinking this team's a finals team, or are they thinking they need to get back to the draft?
I reckon the problem with Gold Coast is they're perpetually trying to be relevant, and to do that, you've got to play finals, right? So I don't think they've ever had the team really that's good enough to be a really good finals team. And they just keep going around in circles trying to finish 8th. And that's never a good spot to be. And they're always falling well short of it, too.
Nah.
The worst thing you can be in sport is not knowing what you are.
Well, I think that's
or where
it.
you are.
Yeah.
And that's them.
But maybe they thought King would come back and be kicking 5
Or is it that they know what they are? Can we extend, please, Michaela? Or is it that they know what they are, but they can't be that because they have to be relevant? So is it like, we know we're probably a bottom 4 or 5 side, but we've got to keep trying to put this message out there that we're good because we need punters to turn up.
I agree with that. Maybe there's a external
They're
pressure
doing
that
two
they need
things
to
at
try.
once.
But
Yeah.
for mine, like if the Gold Coast Suns were a good team, I'd say Tuke Miller's playing half forward, a bit like the Taylor Adams role at Collingwood. Win the half forward contest, have 20 touches, not try and have 30. You have 15 to 18 or whatever it is, and you've got stars in the midfield who are sitting around the 30s, using it well. Witts is playing consistently. Lukosius is playing like he did in the first half for 20 games.
He looks great when he's on. He looks like a top 40 player when he's on.
He should kicked 1 goal for Lukosius, who he thinks had a beautiful kick on him.
Yeah.
And had 7. The game style of just letting him run free was a little bit concerning.
Very worrying.
Because he was pretty good early.
He just got away a bit.
But you just sit there, Roses has incredible speed.
Yeah.
But you're like, well, he's not going to kick 4. He's not going to kick 5 and win the game.
The best star power guy they had is the guy they lost with Isaac Rankin, and I'd hate to mention it when Nick's not here to bring up Isaac Rankin.
But I was content with giving him
same.
away.
I was too, but it turns out that he
we
is
were
that
wrong.
guy.
Yeah.
And he can at least, he can win you games.
Yeah. Lockie Weller's a nice piece. They've
all
got
nice.
nice piece, but Sam Collins is a nice piece that just don't know.
It's a lot of nice.
Vanilla
Richmond's-
ice cream's nice too.
That's right.
do
Yeah,
like
you
vanilla
need
ice
something else with it.
I don't know about that. I could do vanilla.
You could do
Nah, you
plain
need
vanilla
something
ice
on
cream?
top.
Right.
Sometimes.
Come on.
Yeah.
Richmond is next. Shout out to Liam Baker, who's
Great
guy.
If he's not leading their best and fairest, I'd like to know who he is. He's going
Do
very
you still
well.
have him in your fan? Well, that's a great pick. That's a really good. I know he's
He's a
nodding.
smug nodding.
Wait,
here.
you see the other 29 picks he made. Though. He got that one.
Nailed that one.
Trent Cotchin, how do we see him being used going forward? So he started as a sub last week. He was subbed out of the game this week. Didn't appear. His reaction, I don't know if you guys saw it on the bench, didn't appear as if he knew that was a plan.
I don't
that
think
he was getting subbed out.
I don't think anyone earns the right to know they're going to be subbed out unless it's like.
No, but sometimes, like we saw it with Elliot Yeo last week at West Coast. Clearly,
But that's
the plan was for him
returning.
to play
That's a
three
returning
quarters.
injured player who hasn't played for a year and a half.
Yeah, but sometimes you go into a game going, if
Rarely.
everything goes well,
Very rarely.
you'll
And the
get
plan
subbed
wouldn't
out.
have been Yoey played in that game. They just had so many injuries.
Yeah,
So
but
the plan would have been he would have played. Yeah.
Whereas this one, clearly, Cotchin, it wasn't like you play 2.5 quarters.
Yeah,
and
I
coming
don't
out
reckon
kind of
any midfielder would know they're coming out of the game unless they're coming back from injury, which is rare that they're not in the twos. I think bad luck. Like, Trent Cotchin's been a fantastic footballer.
This will be his
He's
last
slowed,
season.
he's aged.
This will be his last
I think
season.
it's starting to look like that.
Yeah,
isn't it?
100%.
It has to be.
100%.
It has to
Dyson Heppel's another one getting subbed out the other week. Who cares?
But that'd be a really, really tough adjustment to make for a player in that position.
This is always the problem with the conversation around, do I go one more year? The one that I always remember is Scotty West. He was a fantastic player for the Western Bulldogs. Always a Brownlow top 3 or 4 guy. And then he played
8 best and fairest?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Something like that.
He played that one extra year and he just spent half the year in the VFL trying to get form. And I just thought, this is a horrible way to go. But no one wants to retire.
I'm going to Google Scotty West really quickly this James.
You're a long time retired. I know that. But particularly the career that Trent Cotchin's had where he's won all these flags and they've been the captain of those teams. And he'll never have to
But if Joel
work a
Selwood
normal job.
if Joel Selwood didn't go one more when there was chat about him finishing up,
Yeah.
Shane Crawford doesn't go one more, he doesn't win a premiership.
Sometimes it works out beautifully. Right, Drew Banfield, I remember in 06
Got him
for
over
West
the
Coast.
line. Yep.
He was like on fumes.
But this is the thing with footy as well, like as opposed to basketball or soccer, where with some of these guys you can manage them, you can stick them down the end of the bench, you can play them for 5 or 10 minutes kind of thing. Footy, it's a lot harder to do that. You're either
It's very physical. It's physical nature.
I don't think the club in those games owes you an explanation.
No,
you're off. Put your jumper
I think
on.
everyone's clear about where it's at.
Yeah.
Western Bulldogs is me again. Rory Lobb. First of all,
Gee, he spent a long time on the ground on the weekend.
he did.
Just fell over everything.
He's taken 10 marks this season and kicked 3 goals, so it's not quite working out well. I mean, obviously mitigating circumstances on Saturday night because it was absolutely shit.
Unless your name was Tim English.
Tim English, jeez.
He was playing with a dry
We'll get
ball.
to him in a sec. Rory Lobb, what kind of reception do you think Freo fans are giving him on Friday night?
It'll be the loudest boos you've ever heard from a Fremantle crowd. It'll top Andrew Gaff.
But who cares?
The way he exited was bad. So
He tried to
He threw some grenades on the way
He tried
out.
to leave twice, right? And credit to him, he showed up and he played pretty well last year. And then on the way out,
I'm not saying what he did was wrong. I was right, but I'm not. He's not Jason Horne-Francis, a former #1 draft pick who's left. He's not Nat Fife in his Brownlow
because he's not that good. It doesn't matter.
Who cares?
Well, it was the cracks.
I think Fremantle fans care, and I think it's going to. I think you're right.
I think they're going to boo for the sake of booing. But I think deep down they don't care.
The comments about having I reckon they're happy that he's gone.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But in terms of you can't leave that way. Throw the grenades. Say that you weren't coached. He said he wasn't coached well, or something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing a little bit.
Yeah.
But the comments weren't great. And I understand Rory probably made them in a moment and didn't quite think them through. And then next thing you know, they're on a documentary.
You know what could also happen?
Things get away from you a little bit, but it's not a great way to go.
Rory Lobb has 5 good games a year.
This could be one of them.
He could kick 4.
He absolutely could.
What's the weather doing?
You could be interviewing him on the boundary post-game Friday night, Rhino.
I hope I am, just because I won't be able to hear him. Because
what's your message to the Freo faithful after that one, Rory?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think I'm very excited for that game, and that's a big piece.
I'm excited for the game. I just wouldn't care about Rory Lobb, about any of it.
But so that's not part of the reason you're excited about the game.
Nah,
the Rory Lobb
I like
reception.
watching the Dogs,
mate. You're going to be in that box, and it's going to be one of the big talking points. And you're going to be like, does he show up? Does he stand up to it?
But would Rory Lobb be in their top 15 players?
No,
the Dogs.
No. So who cares?
Paying him like he is.
Yeah, I know that. He's been paid like that for 10 years. But the weather on...
what do we got? I think it's all right, isn't it?
28 degrees Friday night.
Good marking weather.
Oh, boy.
Let's get it done.
But I'm looking forward to seeing Bont. Yeah, that stuff.
Always.
Sure.
North Melbourne is 13th, which is Rhino?
No, it's me.
No, Dave?
So they sneakily got away with a 75-point loss on the weekend.
Didn't they?
Was that what it was in the end?
It got out of hand. It got out of hand quickly.
75 points in the end. An absolute smacking. What North Melbourne... Larky's been off his dinner the last few weeks. I think for the first few rounds we thought that was
just
Larky's
kicking everything. Yep.
Won the game over here for Freo against Freo. He kicked a handful. Was really good the week before, and he kicked 6 straight maybe. So that's happened. LDU was quiet, and he's missed also with injury, so the gloss is off that. Simpkins now done with an injury with a broken finger.
That's a big out.
He's done. Clarko's now into the grind of it all.
Reality setting in, do you think?
Reality setting in. I think we're going to see just quite how is one of their better players at the moment. Liam Shields is popping up.
Yeah.
Like Pup was retired, mate. Pup was smoking his cigars on his couch and got a phone call.
Yeah.
Who's this? What? Play footy? Yeah, cool. I just think the gloss is well and truly going to be gone off North Melbourne the next month.
I think you're right, and I think we're going to start seeing big margins. Simpkin, we saw in that Hawthorn game when him and LDU missed, they just couldn't win that game without him. And once he went down on Saturday, that game just got immediately blown out.
This is the next 6 weeks. Seatbelt on.
Okay.
Gold Coast Suns away.
Oh, that's interesting.
Melbourne,
Okay.
St Kilda currently sitting first. Port Adelaide, I think they're going to run hot.
Love
now.
a front run to power.
Sydney Swans,
Yep.
Collingwood,
Oof.
Essendon.
Yikes.
There's a lot of top 8 in that run.
Winter is coming.
A lot of top 8 in that run. 2, 3.
Yeah.
They got 1, 2, 3, 5
There's a
on the
world
ladder.
where they, there's a world where they beat the Suns.
They got 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 on the ladder.
Yuck. Without Simpkin.
Yeah.
There's a possibility they could go and beat Gold Coast, although this is the kind of game where Gold Coast flexes a little bit of muscle and then go back to the norm.
What are the bookies saying?
I would say Gold Coast would be fairly heavy favourites.
Oh, I'd say $1.30 when you think.
I would have thought so.
Something like that.
No, I think you're right though. I think the big bang is coming for North Melbourne.
Yeah.
$1.33.
Right.
Oh, geez, that's still too short. Let me see that upcoming schedule and raise it when it comes to GWS, which is the team that I've got.
Okay.
Have a listen to this for a next 6, bearing in mind that they just beat Hawthorn,
Yep.
This is their next 6 coming up. Brisbane,
Hard.
Sydney,
Pretty hard.
Western Bulldogs, Collingwood, St Kilda, Geelong.
Ouch.
That's probably 5 of the best, 7 or 8 teams in it, really.
Yeah. Yep. I wouldn't want to be Gold Coast and I wouldn't want to be Giants. Maybe merge them.
And they just
You're liking
sputtered
it now,
past
aren't you?
Hawthorn. I was trying to think of the most off-Broadway kind of clutch plays of all time,
Yeah.
because Harry Himmelberg,
Oh, wow.
spare a thought for him. If that had been on a Friday night
I'm not
on the big stage.
I'm not sparing any thoughts because do you know what? He's out of contract.
Is
Harry
he?
Himmelberg's just going
putting some dollars
another
on his
10
name.
grand.
I reckon he's
every
been
week.
paid pretty well.
Yeah.
He's going to have to get paid really well.
You reckon?
Well, because what he is,
Got a bit of lob about
he's
it,
a
doesn't
really good forward. No, he's more dependable than that. He shows up every week.
And you can
kicks
chuck
2 or
him
3
back
goals.
as well if you need
That's
to.
exactly
Oh,
right.
the back stuff was a bit inflated last year.
Oh, look,
His numbers
it was
were,
a bit,
but he can still stack up.
he's an intercept defender. He's got great hands. He can take a big mark. He shows up every week and he gives you 100%.
And finished in the big moment as well.
Yeah,
Great kid.
I think there's a lot of teams that could use Harry Himmelberg. A lot. Like, you look at the contenders, Collingwood could use a Harry Himmelberg. Fremantle could absolutely use a Harry Himmelberg. They're not going to get him. He's got no links to WA. I'd be surprised. But there's so many teams along that list.
How many times he kicked over 40?
I don't think he ever has he?
Probably
No.
0.
No, but
Yeah.
but that's not really what he is. I'm not saying you need to pay him like a millionaire. Someone might. But I love Harry Himmelberg.
He'd be a good third forward.
Exactly. I feel so safe with Harry Himmelberg in my team.
I don't, but if third forward, yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Yeah. No, good. Like, I'm not an out on him. I've never really gone to bed dreaming about Harry Himmelberg lifting me to the Premiership Cup.
He's pretty
He's
handsome.
a good-looking fella. We're not arguing that. Hey, can I quickly throw in a Giants
Yeah,
question?
please do.
Yeah.
Is Lockie Whitfield in the top 100 players in the comp?
Not right now, no.
Imagine
I
asking
reckon
that
I had him
question
top
like
3 or
2
4.
years ago, yeah.
I reckon I had him top 3 or 4 in the comp.
We
Yeah.
probably need to make a list of this because we often try to throw.
No,
players
well, I
in.
just go.
We need 100
I
players.
just go top 6
Yeah.
from every club gets you to about 100, doesn't it? 60 to
Yeah,
that's about
it's
it.
108. Yeah. Yeah. It's good math.
He's not the top 6 of many clubs at the moment. Lockie Whitfield.
It's Michaela's face that I can add that quickly. No, he wouldn't be. Disappointing.
Next is Fremantle.
Oh, Freo Dockers. I've got the Dockers.
Here we go.
Um,
Captain, class half empty. You're going to whack him, aren't you?
I'm gonna.
Come on, we're wasting precious time here. Let's go. let's
Will
go.
Brodie played 45%, 6 clearances. I think Will Brodie, I don't care how unfit he is, he needs to play 80% game time.
He needs to be in the team for sure.
It needs to be, but not 45%.
Yeah. Well, he was a sub, wasn't he?
No, yeah, he was. But like the low numbers that happened with Will Brodie last year, everyone's like, oh, he's had 26 in 56 minutes. You're
Yeah.
like, how can he not be playing 80 minutes of football or 90 minutes of football? Anyway, so I love Will Brodie. Sarong is probably the most improved player in the competition, and the bar's gone from being a high-end, probably B grader to now a clear A grader, and you can see right now he's going to be the next captain of that football club. Tick that box. When you leave and you're reviewing the game, you're reviewing the last quarter or the first 3 quarters? What are you showing?
Question for Freo after the derby as well. It was like, well, was it the first 2.5 quarter, 3 quarters?
And I
or
want
is
to
it
tip
the
Matt
way
to
that
Sonny
they
Walters
finished?
too, who was kept him in it.
Terrific, yeah.
I think what you do is they've probably seen enough of the, geez, we've been awful tape, right?
Yeah, give us the good.
I think you show them the fourth and you go, this is how we can play.
Do you know who was instrumental in that quarter? Will Brodie seemed to be coming out the middle.
Geez, you're loving Will Brodie.
No, I
today.
do, mate. I do.
He's a good player. He's a good player. And when he's up and going, that was such a big part of what they were doing last year. That quick handball, he's so good inside, so much contested foot. He
is what he is. He is what he is.
Yeah, correct. He's got weaknesses, and which is why it never worked at
Who
Gold
was the
Coast.
midfielder today that went at 14% during the game?
Adam Treloar. Yeah, horrible.
You know what I mean?
Still.
Who cares?
Nicer to look at Matt Johnson as well for the first time as a non-sub in a full game. He started really strong. Yeah, he kind of got shoved forward a little bit when Switkowski went down, so Brody came in and sort of took his spot a little bit, but showed that he has that polish as well.
No, I love him. He's a great kid.
Definitely worth persisting
15 and a hot dog, I'd take that. Well done to him. Just trying to find that last quarter from Brody. 8 disposals. Where are the clearance numbers? I'd love to look where, the footy just purely through the middle.
Yep.
I just thought he was just there.
Nah, he's good. I think he stays in now permanently.
Has to.
Yeah.
Geelong.
They just signed him to 4 years or something, didn't they?
Yeah, he's around.
Geelong. Any takers?
Shit, is that me again?
Here we go.
No, it's not me. Oh, it is me.
Still got our bullet by
we could probably bullet. I mean, it's up to you, Dave.
Second
I don't know
time
how
in 3
profound
weeks.
Send
something
it.
is you're about to say. Bullet it.
The Cats fans are going to be filthy. 2 out of 3.
Nah.
That was a very ordinary game.
Watch this space, Jeremy Cameron
That
Brownlow.
was real Q in the rack kind of stuff, wasn't it?
Yep.
That was the most Q in the rack game you were just about to say.
Yep.
Who is above Geelong on the ladder? Port Adelaide in 9th.
Oh, that's me. Okay, Zach Butters. That is what we see at his best. That was your perfect Zach Butters game.
32, barometer.
Yep, 32 touches, 17 of them contested, 7 clearances. And what's clear to me now about watching Port Adelaide this year is 1, yes, Butters is the barometer, but 2, any discussion about it not being their team, it's Rosie and Butters, it's their team.
Of course it is.
It's their team now. The Boak is in a different phase.
I don't even know if Boak did a centre bounce on the weekend.
Wines is
now
he's a solid player.
Yeah.
It's not Charlie Dixon's team. It belongs to
But if you need a
Rosie
clearance in that
Butters.
last quarter, I'm putting
Butters.
And I know recency bias, Horn Francis, Butters and Rosie. To get that clearance.
I think so too. I think the thing I love about Butters, and there was multiple moments in that game when it was raining and it's slippery, and he's throwing himself in like an idiot. And I was like, don't do that. But then he has to do that because that's who he is.
Yeah.
So we're just going to walk that line with Zach Butters his whole career.
Boak 0 centre bounces.
Is that
so
right?
he's been phased out completely.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. Where do we think Port is at? Because we know that their best, I think, can beat anybody.
I think they're about to launch.
You reckon they're about to go?
Yeah.
You've got West Coast this week.
I reckon Alia is such an important player down back.
Yeah,
I thought he was a bit sloppy early in the year. It just changes the way the opposition play. Again, they're kicking to no one.
That's what
really.
the best defenders do, isn't it?
He just stood in the right spots.
When you're that good, it's like when McGovern was at his peak.
Yeah.
Teams
radically in the first half.
we can't kick it towards
Stephen May
Jeremy
areas.
McGovern.
Just don't put it near Stephen.
Yeah. Go the other way.
Yep.
It's quite a whole.
And you don't deliberately do it just because every time you look up, you see him. You go, shit, how did he get there?
Yeah.
Now where do we go?
Yeah, exactly.
He does that so
we'll
well.
have to go sideways again. And reassess.
Port just need to get a run on. Like they need to get a run on. So they've got. I think they can win the next 4.
Yeah, right.
So they're West Coast this week.
West Coast, St Kilda. I'm back in Port.
Is that in Adelaide?
No, Essendon's in Adelaide.
Okay.
So I reckon maybe they split that and then North Melbourne. So I reckon they go 3 or 4.
They got to split the Saints Bombers.
You
And
gotta
they could win
They
too.
could take both of those.
Yeah. I can see 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 4 on that. And I reckon they've got to get going. They need to get there. Get those, and I say this in an endearing fashion, those feral supporters going.
Yeah.
Like they love it, the Port Adelaide
I'll be tipping
fans.
St Kilda.
But the fact that they're
50-50 game in Melbourne, you're not tipping against.
The fact that they're 3-2, that they've made their way to 3-2, despite the untenable quote unquote coach situation, etc. They'll take it. Brisbane is at the bottom of the 8.
That's me, I believe. I think they're playing North Melbourne. We just talked about how bad North Melbourne is. But sometimes you need an easy kill, right? In the jungle, you're the big lion, and you need a little wildebeest that's already limping around.
I actually saw a little baby giraffe get mauled yesterday on TikTok.
Well,
didn't like that. I love
that happened
giraffes.
on Saturday too. It looks like Will Ashcroft is figuring it out, right? Like, I mean, he was always going to be good.
Yeah.
But I think at the start we were like, oh yeah, Sheasel's getting all the hype. But watching Ashcroft the other day, I was like,
Sheasel's still in another hemisphere.
He is, but Ashcroft's going to be special.
Yeah.
Like, the way he moves around, how confident he is, and he just looks so. The hair is amazing.
No, the bloke who found the footy at will, which he hasn't done, Lockie Neal. For some reason, that Brisbane, I just feel like they need to have a player like that.
So, Lockie Neal, 37 disposals, 17 contested, 13 clearances. Next best on the ground was LDU with 7. He was the Brownlow votes are absolutely going to Lockie Neal.
Yeah.
He was a monster.
The 2 forwards were good.
Danaher and Hipwood, 9 goals, and Cameron 4. So 13 between their big 3. Cameron, as we've said, has turned a corner. He looks like he's in ripping form. They're still very reliant on a Joe Danaher to perform, which is going to be the...
Yeah, and big Eka.
You know how we talk about all season about that one thing with each team that could go wrong and they're too reliant on this or this is their one. In the finals, it's going to be, does Joe or Eric turn up and kick 3 or 4?
100%.
Because we've seen...
And you're not going to be playing against North Melbourne at Mount Barker in the finals.
We've seen the movie too of Charlie Cameron in the forward line, one out in the goal square. It hasn't worked.
No,
in big finals.
It doesn't work.
Grimes. Remember Grimes used to go to him and was like, that's it.
That's right.
That's it.
It's over.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the thing for Brisbane. They're going to win enough games to finish probably top 4, at least top 6.
And imagine Charlie playing actually second or third fiddle.
Yeah,
I might go to the goal square for a little bit. I might go up to the half forward line for a little bit. Like, that's dangerous, Charlie Cameron. That's the best version.
Correct. Gravy Cameron is the best version.
Not one out in the goal square.
No. I agree.
Gravy Cameron, I like that. Adelaide, shout out to two guys who could absolutely walk through any workplace in the country and the most diehard football players would not know who they were. Can we guess it?
Chase Jones?
Chase Jones is on my list, but he's not one of these two guys.
Hang on, because I put him in the team of the week.
Sam Murray.
Sam Murray is one of them.
Sam Murray, 13 spoils or something.
And who was the other one? Who did the job on the big two? Jordan Butts.
Jordan Butts.
Jordan Butts and Nick Murray.
Butts.
We're definitely the only podcast who's talking about Jordan Butts and Nick Murray.
Yeah,
100%.
Nick Murray went in my team of the week.
And so he should, yeah. That's a big reason for the fact that they were able to get on top.
Those
you can shut down
13 spoils.
Monsters. I was harsh on the Crows probably for 3 years.
You hated them.
I'm a believer now.
You in?
I like what I'm seeing.
Because you stood there podcast after podcast looking at me and Nick like we were either drinking or on probably meth or something. It was like, listen to these two.
I just hate when Nick's right, and I feel like whenever Nick says
and unfortunately
something,
for us, he's actually nailed a few
had
recently.
A few.
Yeah,
and they're
hard.
ones that he's been on the hill for like 3 years going, no, I'm going to stick with it.
Rankin.
So my natural instinct is to swerve away. If he says something's good, I automatically want to go the other way. But I have to say they're great. Jordan
it's so
Dawson,
sad that he's not here to hear this in person.
He'll be listening.
They got a little bit of Richmond 2017 about him, where it's just all a little bit messy. Some no-name. You remember they had the no-name forwards?
Castagna.
You said I remember when Shuey's watching it and said, "Right, I named the 22 Richmond players that just played," and you're like, "Oh shit, where do we start?" Like, there's a lot of that about Adelaide, where you got your stars, Dawson. Laird,
Shelley,
Fogarty kick 5, Tex. But then you've just got the bits players. And I reckon
Chase
they're brilliant.
Jones.
Yeah, I reckon they're brilliant, the bits players.
Yeah. No, I'm excited. I'm actually in.
Another crowd you want buzzing.
Yeah, and I want to watch their games.
Yeah.
That's been the thing in the last few years. I haven't gone, geez, I'm excited about the Crows this week.
Are they 3-2?
They're 3-2.
And if they didn't bloody hand up that 40-point margin to the Giants round 2 or 1.
That's right. They would have won that game.
They would have won that game, and they'd be 4-1 and virtually on top of the ladder.
Definitely playing quicker too, like way quicker.
It's that messy Richmond nature.
You get Rankin in, you can then play a bit of Rochelle in the middle. They can switch. I love it.
Yeah, great to watch. Sixth is Melbourne.
I've got the Melbourne Football Club. Now, I don't know whether I'm going to eat humble pie on this, but I had them as the premiership clear favourites.
Yes.
Collingwood are favourites now. They won the clearances by 10, almost won the inside 50s. They had 55 of them. McDonald kicked 0. Van Ruin, I know, is a young kid, kicked 1. They had 13 disposals against them. 13 disposals combined, for the week. At the end of the year, when it fizzles out, if it does fizzle out for Melbourne, do they go, they've got no forwards. That's what happens.
I think Grundy was amazing last week against West Coast, who had no one.
Yeah, he was only average this week, Grundy.
He was average, is what I'm saying. Like, he got beaten by the Essendon Rucks.
Draper kicked 3.
We'll get to Draper. Okay. I've got an apology to make.
Okay.
It's a long one.
Even Big Flipper.
Yeah, he was great too. That's what I'm saying. Grundy wasn't dominant. They're missing Max Gawn.
Clary had
might be back this week, Max Gawn.
Was that 41?
Yeah, but a lot of that was junk.
Yeah.
I know that.
One of the worst 41 possession Clary.
I love Clary. I still recken we disrespect
No, it was great.
How
he finished at 41 is absurd.
It still had him.
It was junk. It was junk. But a super impressive game for the Bombers, and we'll talk about them in a minute. Does this make you question Melbourne, or is it just one of those days that you can just write off?
I'd write it off.
Same.
I've still got a lot of faith in Melbourne.
But we're talking about Brisbane's issue with Danaher.
If it was last
Melbourne's
year...
issue is who's going to kick the goals.
We just wrote it off last year for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Before that, after they were 10-0, and then we're like, oh, hang on, they're now not...
This is a problem.
Now they're out of the finals and they've wasted a year.
Yeah.
I think it's a problem.
Yeah, but every team's got their flaws, right?
That's a pretty big flaw. Look at, and we speak about Freo. Are you concerned about how their goals go through? We speak about that all the time. Who's kicking them?
I think Gawn coming back changes a lot of things.
In what way?
Well, you can throw him forward. You've got Fritter up there as well. Van Rooyen's going to be better for the run. Van Rooyen's going to be better come
If I'm in a
July,
coach's
August.
box and Max Gawn goes forward, laughing, get the scotch.
Not in the prelim final in 2021 or whatever it was.
Yeah, they was kicking them goals from the middle.
Yeah, that's true. Fifth is Sydney, which is me. There was a lot made on Friday night of Richmond's injury list. As soon as Sydney started to pull away, it was, Richmond missing all these guys. These are the guys Sydney were missing. Bud, Rampy, McCartan, Hickey, Sam Reid. Amadi got injured really early in the game.
Amadi was showing plenty too.
Yeah, he's been really good for a while now.
That's a decent casualty ward.
I love how when you said
down-
Sam Reid, you went, Sam Reid.
Sam Reid
Head
is
went to the
like
side because you know he's in their best team, but
He played
how
in the
is that
grand
possible?
final, yeah.
Sam Reid.
Yeah, it's kind of Sam Reid.
Sam Reid.
But particularly down back, to be missing McCartan and Rampy,
Yeah, massive.
The only thing is they
and then
caught
have Robbie
Richmond.
Fox holding it down.
They
Like
caught Richmond without Tom Lynch.
they did. That was nice.
which is helpful.
What about Blakey, though? Blakey, just chuck him at fullback. Just chuck him where you
I
like.
love him. The headless chook. He just runs. He doesn't know what he's doing. He just makes it up.
He
It's
really
great.
set the tone for them in the first half, and then Tom Papley in the second half. Oh, boy.
How many CBAs do you reckon for Mills?
I'm going to go with 0.
It was 0.
Yeah, he
that
plays
right?
back.
Callum Mills is playing back now. And so the mid is now Warner,
Goulden.
Parker and Goulden, with a couple other guys peppered in here or there.
Yeah. Like
Do we
Papley.
like this?
I think he needs a few, doesn't he?
Yeah,
It's
but
too
maybe-
good to not have a few.
Maybe they just go, we need to win the flag. We've fallen short, and I know he didn't do a stack in that grand final. But maybe they go, because he kicks it beautifully, reads it beautifully, he's a leader down there. They are a little bit of misfits in that back line.
Yeah.
McCartan,
Lloyd.
like
Fox.
just all a bit like whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe that just adds that little bit of polish.
Maybe. A lead,
And I think they go, well, Chad Warner's... who would you have, Mills or Warner?
I like the combination, the defensive
Yeah,
side.
but I mean,
of Mills,
Parker plays that combination.
the offensive, I suppose. Yeah. So in that case, Mills can play. Where else is Warner going to play that he's going to have an impact?
Yeah.
He has to be in the
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Mills is more versatile.
Correct.
Yeah,
So
Mills
he's the
has
guy
that
who goes
ability.
out, right?
Yeah.
And a little bit, who are we talking about? I was talking about Cal Wilkie to someone today. And it's like one of those ones where if something's going wrong, Ross the boss will go, sorry, Cal, I know you're a brilliant player, but can you please go and stop Kerno this weekend or whatever?
Yeah.
I reckon, unfortunately for Mills and his own individual people looking, going, oh, he's a bit quieter. He's the one that gets just moved. Like,
Yep.
it's just stiff.
Yeah.
Bad luck.
He's the flexible Swiss Army guy. Yep.
Fourth is Carlton.
Jeez, they were the most disappointing team of the weekend for me.
Oh, yes.
Weren't they? Look,
Yeah, that
I
game
can't
was
even
over
think
early,
who's the
right?
second most disappointing team. Most of those games were great either way. I mean, North didn't show up, but we kind of always thought that was going
That
to
was only 7. That was just a low-key 75.
Yeah, Carlton, come on. And we sat here last week, and you and I both said, oh, you know,
Main
we're
winner.
in. And
Yeah.
then old mate Nick, actually, he's on again. He said, no,
Yeah, not for
yet.
me.
Well, they disappointed us. Just when you think they're there, they just kick you right in the nuts. Turns out McGovern might be pretty important to what they do. He was a late out, like 5 minutes.
No, not to that level.
He's not the reason they lost. Their mids got beaten. Adelade's midfield of Dawson, Laird, Chase Jones is running around in there, some Rochelle.
Yeah.
They
And this
pumped
is with Sam
midfield.
Walsh back.
Well,
Dawson-
first game back, wasn't it?
Dawson
pretty
stood
good
next
first
to
game back.
Cripps.
Yeah.
And just
beat him.
went, and he's
beat
bigger
him.
than you think, Dawson, isn't
He
he?
beat him. How was the one, I don't want to talk about Carlton, where Dawson's fallen over, had time to stand up, took 2 steps, and then hit someone lace
Yeah.
out 40 metres on the lead. I was
No,
like,
they were smacked that midfield.
Their defensive stuff was ordinary because the amount of attack from Jordan Dawson, I don't know if you can tag him, but they didn't. And if they did, it didn't work.
No, they
Like,
didn't, because Cripps stood near him a lot of the
Yeah,
time.
I reckon you got beat there and you had to realise that a bit quicker. At 2 goals each from Harry and Charlie, so it wasn't like they were invisible.
Yeah.
But they
It
didn't
didn't
win you the
feel-
game.
nah.
Are we still in the point where Carlton has to have those guys kicking 7 between them to win the game? Are we still there?
I think the midfield was the bigger concern, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. So if it's not those 2 guys,
But I don't think Carlton's midfield's going to be a concern going forward, would you think?
you reckon
No,
they're
I
okay?
don't think so. And I mean, Walsh is going to be better for the run,
Cripps,
right?
Walsh, Stewart.
The other part of this is to gather round in Adelaide. opening game. You're running into a buzzsaw.
I guess so.
I talked about
those are the
West
games
Coast.
that Carlton, if Carlton's going to be something, those are the games they need to
They
win.
do, but this was round one. I had a similar feeling about the two WA teams. Freo flying to Melbourne playing against Ross in his first game against Ross, their old coach. The narrative was there. Like, narrative for me, it's the mental side of the game.
Yeah.
You know, same with West Coast playing North. Clarko returns. Last time you want to play North Melbourne.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I tend to agree.
Yeah, thank you.
Third is Collingwood, which is me, 4-1, best start to a season since the Malthouse era,
Premiership
which is
favourites.
significant. So are they premiership
Yeah,
favourites right now?
favourites right
You've
now.
had a look?
Yep.
So they're edging out Melbourne, presumably.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. And all without a ruckman, and Dan McStay goes down now as well. So
Crazy.
Billy Frampton.
they're even more ruckless. Billy Frampton, South Australia's
Whoever-
finest, getting
Billy
out.
Bob Frampton.
What's his name? Ned Guy. Is it Ned
Yeah.
Guy who
Yeah,
shaped
Ned
the
Guy.
list?
Yep.
Got
And was
smashed.
belittled.
Got smashed. I think
Visionary.
he works for the AFL now, doesn't he?
Don't know.
I think he's got a pretty
Yeah, I think
decent
he is,
job
yeah.
at the
Don't
AFL.
know, but like all of a sudden, gee whiz, he's kept the good.
Absolute
it's like
visionary.
he kept the good ones.
Yeah.
But there's three guys in the comp who are 35 years of age and older.
Should we guess?
Scott Pendlebury,
Franklin.
Shannon Hearn.
Correct. That's the three.
Hey.
Bud, sit out, gather round, just have a bit of a rest. Hearn, sit out, gather round, have a bit of a rest. Pendlebury, not only is he not sitting out, gather round, but to go he's out, we're putting him in the guts. So he went to 91% of centre bounce yesterday, as opposed to his usual, which is kind of 50, 60.
He was
5
good.
clearances, 11
Tom Mitchell was
contested,
very good.
35.
Tom Mitchell. That was the one I thought when DeGoey was out.
Yeah.
Someone needs to step up. Did you have 30 in the end? I
Started
people,
strong.
And I know
Yeah.
people go, Tom Mitchell 30, but it
was a good 30.
I thought it was nice. Yeah.
It seemed to be when they needed stuff done, clearances, quick hands. He was there doing it.
Yep.
I was pretty impressed. Hearn, Buddy, or Pendles. Pendles is the one that plays on next year.
Easily.
Yeah.
He's not slowing down.
No.
He's a marvel.
Only
Absolute marvel.
only thing I would say that might close it down is if they want a flag. That sometimes
Could do the Shane Crawford.
Yeah,
Although
that's-
he's won one before.
Hey.
Pendles?
Pendlebury? Yeah.
No, but I mean, then Selwood and like the champions who
Yeah, good way to go out.
wrap it up at the end and go, I'm on top of the table.
Jeez,
Yeah.
you have to work hard to top Joel Selwood's day.
Yeah, but well, his career will probably match it though. When he
Politicians
does.
winning an election levels that day. Jeez,
Doesn't matter,
Joel
doesn't
Selwood.
Yeah.
Carrying
No,
babies,
Couldn't
kissing
do
babies.
anything
and
wrong.
giving shoes
Bobby
away.
Hill too. I've spoken about him a few times.
Love
Like
it.
he could be
Love
great
that
recruit.
addition. I think when he signed, immediately I was like, that's great.
Instant fan
Yeah.
favourite.
Yep.
Yep. Second of the ladder after round 5, as we all expected, is Essendon.
we predicted this top two.
St Kilda and Essendon.
Okay, here it
1-2.
goes. I apologise to Sam Draper.
Yeah,
I have
This is a
badgered
written,
him,
statement,
but also
that you're
I've
reading from.
badgered him for years.
not just a flying comment either. Where you're like, I'm not sure about Sam Draper. You've done a 2-minute,
Yeah.
your 2-minute spell.
It's been,
whacking
I reckon
him.
I've
been a
done
targeted-
multiple
Yeah.
2-minute spells.
targeted
whacking him.
bullying is what it's been.
Well, I just didn't see what the hype was.
No, I
about.
didn't either.
I know the hair and the goal of the year and all that stuff, but I wanted to see some substance. I reckon he's done it 2 or 3 weeks out of the 5 this year when he's been really good, and he was excellent again against a really good ruckman in Brodie Grundy. 14 disposals, but the 3 goals, and he seemed to be getting them when the game was still there. It was like, hey, there's Sam Draper again. So I have to say he's impressed me, and the combination with Phillips works really, really well. I think they should stick with that and just keep riding it through as long as they can. The other one is,
I'm Phillips man.
oh yeah, I like it.
which is
I like
interesting
it.
because he was the
Journeyman.
sub last. He started the sub last week.
Yeah.
and came in.
Is it 4 clubs for him?
Giants.
Carlton, and was he Port Adelaide for a very brief stop?
I'm not getting a Port Adelaide
no.
vibe.
Okay, maybe it's just a 3.
There's a lot of ruckmen who've just swung past Port Adelaide.
There has.
I'm not sure if he's one.
You're
of them.
not thinking about Journeyman Giles.
No, maybe I am. Maybe I am. They all blend into one. The other thing I want to mention is every single time Nick Martin touches the footy,
Yeah.
something good happens. He is
Yeah.
so
He's a
silky.
great story. Hey?
He is, and he only
a
has to
great
have.
Story.
He was accumulating really well last year. He's putting up 20, 25 disposals, and we were like, who is this kid? He doesn't get it that many times now. It's more
Less
in
is
the,
more.
the 10 to 15 range, but 13 or 14 of them, you're either hitting a target, you're kicking a goal, you're setting one up. Like, he is class.
The
He's
bar
just
was
so
set
class.
pretty high, wasn't it? In
It
his
was.
first game where he had 30 and 65 or something.
Yeah, he had an almost Barlow-esque
Yeah.
start to his career. I think he's great, and I think every club needs a Nick Martin.
Well, it's hard, yeah. It's almost a little bit like the Lukosius role.
Yeah.
Just get the ball 70 metres from home
yeah,
and do
it kind
something
of
with
is.
it.
Yeah, yep, for a lot less money, I would have thought.
And top of the ladder is St Kilda.
St Kilda Football Club, absolutely incredible. And now there's just the out. So Caulfield, high draft pick, hasn't played, whatever. But Caulfield, Jack Steele, Zach Jones, Max King, Billings, Membry, and Bytel.
Yeah.
That's 7 players at a time you would have thought would be in and out of the side within the first 5 weeks.
5 absolute locks, I would have thought.
Next...
4 absolute locks.
Steele, King, Billings, Membry would be the
They're
locks.
The 4 locks, and then Caulfield, Bytel, and
Zach Jones.
I would. You could argue they're in
on the emergency list or whatever.
Yeah.
So unbelievable that they're in it to this far, and even to have a throw up the stumps late in that game against Collingwood, lose by a hole. Yeah. Pretty scrappy game. But still,
there's no coach in the AFL that I would pick over Ross Lyon for a game for my life. I don't care who the teams are. You're gonna have to win this game to be alive.
What team are you coaching, though?
Doesn't matter. Put him in any... He will look at the numbers, he will look at the players, and he'll go... He
hasn't won a flag, mate.
Yep, one game. This is it.
That is one game.
Yeah, I get that. Well, that hasn't worked out.
No. Sometimes it's 2 games, the grand final. He still can't...
Who are you taking then?
Clarko. Proofs in the pudding. Damien Harvick. Proofs in the pudding.
Some pretty good teams, though. Ross does it with shitty teams.
Just St Kilda team was not a shitty team.
You just pointed out all the blokes they're missing.
No. They're prime
of
St
yesteryear.
Kilda.
Yeah, but okay. But they were coming up against...
Big Toe could have coached the flag there.
Well, they were playing against some pretty good Geelong teams as well at the same time. You know, like I just think he gets you something out of nothing.
No, mate, don't be wrong. He's a great coach.
Yeah.
Your comment's outrageous.
Is it?
Robbo, be a mediator.
It's not outrageous.
Thank you, Robbo.
But I don't agree with you.
That's okay. We're allowed to disagree.
Anyway, just really quickly.
I also wouldn't particularly want to be watching the game that your life's depending on because it's borderline unwatchable. I'd be like, I'll just tune back at 3/4 time and see if Rhino's going to live or die.
56.
Yeah. So the next month, they're $1.40 to make finals. Now,
is that right?
I'm not all in yet.
That's a very short price.
I'm not all in yet.
My question is, what are they to miss for?
So they have 3 teams in the next 4 coming up who I think are going to be around that same spot. So Blues, Port Adelaide, and Adelaide. Adelaide over Port on the road, and Blues, whatever that was. Both in Melbourne, doesn't matter.
$2.80 to miss the 8.
$1.40 to make the 8, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not... You convinced they're making the 8 yet, even though they're sitting second?
In our beer bet, I have St Kilda, you have Essendon. And who did old mate have? Was it North Melbourne?
What was the bet again?
Remember, it was like, which one's going to hang on and make finals?
Who was it?
I had St Kilda. You had Essendon. I reckon it might be North Melbourne.
It couldn't have been.
When was North Melbourne ever in the file when they started 2-0?
They were 2-0. I'm pretty sure that was it.
Yeah, it could have been.
The
Did
3
he get to
new
choose
coaches. Yeah, I think he chose it voluntarily.
Yeah, so I looked at that next month, and North Melbourne's in there, so I ticked that box. If they lose those 3, I think they're cooked. But in a perfect world, if they win 4 in a row, which they're all winnable, they'll all be starting about $1.90 or whatever.
Yeah.
Gee, it's going to set up an amazing...
I trust them more than Essendon.
I do too.
To make the 8 right now, right? We're all on that page.
Yeah,
cool.
Sure.
Our boys, our men, whatever we're calling this thing.
Love it.
Have we got some updates for this week? Rhino, do you want to kick us off?
No, I upgraded Jordan
fat?
Dawson to the big spot last week, and didn't he love it? Every second of it.
He thrived.
Probably the player of the weekend, I would have thought, or very close to it.
And he didn't even take time to get into his work. Just from the get-go, he was
I was frothing
vindicated.
over that performance. Fantastic. And Errol, I really liked his game too, so I'm not bumping him from second.
I think he had like 12 inside 50s or something.
He was great. He was fantastic.
Yeah.
He worked his butt off. A lot of it CBAs. So I'm very boring this week, and you can't deny me that. They're both fantastic.
Correct. So mine, which I tossed up, I'm not sure if both of you guys were in or one of you guys were in. I had Pendles and then Nathan O'Driscoll as my reserve guy.
Yeah, that's
I'm happy with Pendles.
You can't have someone appeal.
Anyone is... Yeah, well, that's true. Pendles is sticking fat. Nod's probably got to go.
I would have thought.
Tom Papley's the guy who's coming in.
Papley.
Best celebrator in the game. Does it give you even just an extra 0.1% over the opposition if you're celebrating?
No, I reckon it does, because
like
then you think you're done. And like when he goes off his head,
yeah.
Your head goes down.
Yeah, it's something, right?
Momentum
it's
for
not
sure.
nothing.
You've got them all dry humping each other, cuddling. It's just like,
I think it's worth something. It might not be worth a massive amount, but I think it's worth something.
It's one of those 1%ers.
Yeah.
I did say someone said, I can't remember who it was on socials, they said they'd love to have seen him if he played for Australia, like got a ton. Like how big the run would be with the bat. Like be David
Warner, lap of honour.
Be Warner-esque, like get high.
That's great.
Fantastic.
Zave, you had Sicily and Tom Green.
I'm going to stay with Sicily because I can't just drop him in.
He wasn't very good. He wasn't like.
No, he wasn't very good.
You're just too.
He was better
way
than the
too
previous
loyal
week.
to a guy that he's not even in the All Australian conversation at this point. He's no Jordan.
That's
Dawson.
not about your guy. Your guy can be anything.
Yeah.
Josh Dacos was exceptional again, but
guy needs a
unfortunately, no, mate. I'm going elsewhere here.
Okay.
I think this is about the segment. Now, I've thrown up 2 players that I'm going to potentially go with. So, unfortunately, my son is going to go because I think he might be suspended.
Well, he's probably going to sit this weekend.
Really quickly, much in that tackle. I think now we're getting a bit over
The tackle
top.
thing has overtaken everything, hasn't
Yeah,
it? It's all about these tackles now.
Like, I think he tackles Ward. I think Ward's ass hits the ground first.
Yeah.
Like, spins him backwards.
He'll get a week because everyone else is.
Yeah, that's about right. Have you seen it?
I have seen it, yeah. We'll probably release this after the result, but yeah, I'd suggest it's a week. Reading the tea leaves.
So Merritt got a week and he's fighting his.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take out Tom Green.
Wow.
Can't have a suspended player.
Jesus.
Please.
We got cats in the cradle we can put under this.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to bring in a bloke who I lost 4 cartons of beer last year on.
Oh.
Cal
Wow. Haven't the tables turned?
Callum Wilkie's
You're
in.
loving Cal Wilkie. I'm loving Sam Draper.
Yeah, Wilkie's in.
People say we don't grow.
I was never a hater of Cal Wilkie, but for some bloke to have the audacity to say he's going to be in the All-Australian squad when he was playing for St Kilda, I'd never really heard of him.
Yeah.
To then be in the All-Australian squad, that's incredible.
And he's going to be again.
Oh, mate, he was going to be in the team.
He's very
in
good.
the team.
Well,
I
yeah,
love him.
if you're the mastermind, if you're the key piece in the league's best defence,
Yeah.
which St Kilda either is or is very close to,
He's so good.
He's building a
He's
case.
he's an excellent
Looks athletic, mature age, rookie draft.
Where did
pick.
he come from?
South Australia.
Was
I
that
think.
Port Adelaide?
Yeah, I think South Australia.
Did anybody play for Port Adelaide?
Everybody's played for Port Adelaide.
He was picked 3, I reckon, in the rookie draft.
Callum Wilkie. I reckon he was on someone else's list.
He's a match made in
sure.
heaven for
I'm
Ross,
thinking
though.
of Dougal
Oh, yeah,
Howard.
100%.
He would have been the first guy Ross the boss had a coffee
Yeah,
with when he
yeah.
went to St Kilda,
What
right?
can we do with this?
Yeah.
I reckon I'm thinking of Dougal Howard. How well am I going?
Well, Dougal Howard was Port Adelaide, yes.
Yeah, that's the one. Because he went to St Kilda as well.
Yeah.
There you go. Jesus. Oh, God.
Dear.
How we? Well, get out.
Should we get out of here? I think we've probably covered about
What time is
everything.
it? Oh, yeah, we've got to go.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Rhino. Thanks, Zave. And thanks also to Mazda and the Mazda BT50. You do ute. Enjoy your week. We'll chat to you later.